hadn't been on the Brooklyn Bridge last time I was on the Brooklyn Bridge, outside the car, walking, was with Spike back in 1989. New York is beautiful, but it's changed. Especially Brooklyn. I haven't spent, like I live up by the 59th Street, so we come down a lot of times on this side of the river, all the way down from 59th, and I'm going through Greenpoint and all that. And I never, you know how New York's very, not territorial, what's the word? Neighborhoods. You know, I'm from Mount Vernon. First of all, you never went to Brooklyn without numbers. Coming from Mount Vernon, we did not come to Brooklyn unless you had the right amount of people with you, because you may not get out of here. But that was then.
I've asked myself, I don't have children of my own, but and this will make this story funny, but it's not actually a funny story. Early on, it was the day of my audition, I was thinking to myself, if I had a child, right, and this child went missing or was abducted, the unthinkable, right, and they were in the care of my partner, would you go there? Would you place blame? Would you recognize that it was as hard for them as it was for you? How, you know, you would hope that you could come together over this tragedy and work it out, right? But who knows? And you know, you hope to never find that answer. But I think it was really important to show that these two parents don't turn on one another under the circumstances. You know, it would be easy to do, I think. But the unfunny story that I was going to tell was the morning of this audition, my partner, who always rides our puppy to work on his back, called me frantically while I was getting myself into hair and makeup to come to 40 Acres and told me that our dog had jumped out of his backpack and run across the West Side Highway and was missing in Riverside Park. So here I am getting beautiful while this, you know, 4-week-old puppy is missing. And it would have been so easy to say, like, how could you do this? But he was like beside himself, crying on the phone. So I went out and I went to look for her, and we couldn't find her. And I said, I have to leave for this audition. So I go to the audition and I get the phone call after I'm out that we found the dog. But it was like, you know, do I now use this in my audition, or is that sick, right? Because it's like, it's perfect timing for the worst thing to happen. Yeah. You know, I'm auditioning a scene where my child has been abducted and now my dog is gone.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Am I being detained? No, am I being detained? No, am I being detained?
I think the structure of the film is layered with all of those things that that help drive the story forward. These class dynamics, class tensions, this fraternal relationship between these two men that in and of itself is bound up in some of these class tensions as well. All of these things, I think, combined to help heighten the drama within the film, but also help to give it a legitimacy. We understand the motivations of these characters. You know, we understand what their aspirations are. We understand from, the young felon's perspective, why he feels on the outside of this world, this kingdom, if you will, that David has created. It's just a wonderful allegory to allow for really, a morality tale to be told within. It's great stuff. And again, at the same time, it's modern New York City as seen through Spike Lee's lens. It's pretty cool.
Oh, man.
This film is about morals. scruples. It's a moral dilemma. And we got to give credit to Ed McBain, who wrote the novel. The novel was first, then Kurosawa adapted it. And what's great about this is that I know the audience members, the people who see this film, are gonna ask themselves this question. What would they do if they were in a spot like Denzel is? His character is, David King, his character is in this film. It's a moral dilemma. What will you do to save a young man who's not your son?
Mike's like, he yells and then he goes, all right, bet. And then it's like, all right, bet. That's just Spike, you know, because he's always gonna go, all right, bet. He's, you know, that's just the way he expresses himself. And he's more excited than me. I was like, oh, okay. You know, it has been, because I'm just about done, fun getting back on the horse with him. Like I said, he's a visionary, great filmmaker, friend of the family as well. And it's interesting watching he with his children and, you know, our children kind of growing up together.
The beautiful thing about Denzel's ability to just freestyle, and because he is a music mogul in this, a lot of his text and dialogue has been freestyling. Like he's rapping in some of these scenes, and his brain works so fast, it's incredible. He could have had a career as a rapper, honestly. But because he does that, you know, I have the freedom to then do a little bit of that too, right? So you have to keep the shape of the scene, obviously, right? But I'm really a stickler for the words and the words that are on the page. I think it's, you know, a duty to the writer who's much smarter than I am, who maybe doesn't know the character, but is better than I do, but is the gatekeeper of the entire picture. But when you have someone like Denzel, who is playful and is playing around with the words, you have no other choice than to go along and have some fun with it. So that's been a really good time. Like our scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, all of that dialogue was, sorry guys, was kind of scrapped in the moment. And we just, you know, you're dancing on the Brooklyn Bridge with some background walking by, but also like, you know, tourists from every corner of the earth walking by and snapping photos and not believing what's before them. And you just have to go with the flow.
Green. That's it. It's clever. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna stop saying that this is our last film. I've been saying that. I'm not saying that no more. Because the only reason I was saying that because Denzel was doing interviews saying he's retiring. And every time I pick up a trade paper, he's doing other movies. I'm not saying. So there is still a chance. I mean, how old will we be? What happens to another 20-year break? I have to reel this up. I've been behind the camera like this, and he'd be better shape than me, so. So I'm not saying anymore that this is the finale.